front. So Benjamin Netanyahu obviously agrees with you that soundbite was at the UN. I don't think anybody's listening, though. What do we do?
I think you're right about no one listening. This is the biggest story. History will remember this year for nothing else than the surrender on Iran. That will be the major event of 2014. It's not being talked about, in part because we're trying to get ISIS to tacitly help, we're trying to get Iran to tacitly help us with the war on ISIS, and most importantly because President Obama gave up on these negotiations long ago.
How do you know that? How do you know that he personally gave up? Because he knows how important it is. He knows his administration's tottering in the court of public opinion on foreign affairs. How do you know he gave it up?
You judge a man by his actions. His actions have been consistent. He weakened the sanctions even before this round of negotiations. So he weakens his hand when sanctions were the only thing that brought Iran to the table in the first place. So we already have tons of European companies lining up in Tehran waiting for the full collapse of sanctions, which they know is coming. Second, you look at what we've been negotiating with Iran. Our position for 10, 15 years has been you cannot allow Iran to enrich, because once you do, you cannot stop it from going nuclear. What did we do? We conceded in advance the principle of enrichment. They are allowed to enrich. Question is, how many centrifuges will we allow them to keep? So we were going to go down to a minimal number of 1,000, 2,000. Iran right now has 19,000. You know what? It's demanding 190,000. And we are looking for all kinds of fixes and fig leaves which will allow it to enrich and then pretend, this is if we have an agreement, and then pretend that we've capped their program. We are negotiating to do nothing of the sort. Even if the negotiation is successful, it will leave Iran a few months away from a bomb. We know it. Obama knows it, Iran knows it, the world knows it. They will sell it to a supine press as a kind of historic agreement. But what it means is Iran will be a few months away, and whenever it decides it's ready, whenever the ICBMs are ready, whenever the mechanization to put it on the tip of a missile is ready, they turn a key. In 3 months, 4 months, they're a nuclear power. And Obama tells us that our intelligence will tell us exactly when they turn that key. He now admitted he didn't even know ISIS was a threat after it took Ramadi and Fallujah. And he's telling us that our intelligence is so bad on ISIS and yet will be intensely and perfectly tuned to pick up developments inside Iran of which we have no idea.
Now, if you're correct in all this, because it is a little bit of conjecture, then Israel is going to do something, because they're not going to sit back and allow Iran to get these weapons. I mean, Netanyahu has made that perfectly clear, that he's willing to go to war to stop Iran from doing it. So do you foresee that happening?
I foresee it happening if two things occur. Number one, if it is clear that the negotiations are done and that there's nothing the West is going to do. Netanyahu doesn't want to do it now. He'll be accused of intruding on negotiations. He's the warmonger. They were about to reach some historic agreement, and he got in the way. So his hands are tied right now. So let's assume the negotiations do not succeed. And then the second thing it hinges on is this. Do the Israelis have the capacity to damage the Iranian program enough to set it back maybe 2 to 3 years? The only thing that would prevent Netanyahu from attacking, this is a man who knows the weight of history is on his shoulders, and he's aware that Jewish history relies on his making the right decision. The only thing that will restrain them is if they think they do not have the capacity. I think Israel can do it. I think the assumption is it can do it. But if it doesn't attack, it will be for one reason only. They thought they couldn't do it.